Hello, everyone. Welcome or welcome back. This is the Daily Dharma. My name's Dina. Thank you for joining. Let's take a few deep breaths together, set our intentions and energy. So, I don't have a lot of pre-messages. I kind of have this let's get on the show on the road type of a vibe here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the cards have to speak about. And sometimes I have an idea of what deck I'm going to go to first, and the minute I press the go button, my hands are shifty over the cards. That's what's happening now. So we're going with the mixed Tao Te Ching Art of War deck. And we're going to get just a little bit of guidance. I'm hearing let's get about 3 or 4. All right, let's go there. Okay, perfect. So take the long view. Foreknowledge is an awareness of something before it happens. Such knowledge is very important because it gives us the peace of mind of knowing that the world will not end tomorrow. It's how civilizations went from the horse and the cart to the jet airliner in 100 years. Foreknowledge is how we use the promise of tomorrow to change and continue with what we do today. So apparently here we're talking about hope and faith as an effective medicine, balm, and goal that combats apathy and fear, love versus fear. Sun Tzu said, "What enables the wise sovereign and the good general to strike and conquer and achieve things beyond the reach of ordinary men is foreknowledge." So there's some obvious calling to looking into something and knowing how something is going to play out. So I don't know if we're talking about things that repeat, patterns and so on, or if we're talking about, in that case, it would be history repeating. It could also be trends. When we see a trend moving in one direction, the basis of the Tao talks about how all things are in sort of a conservation of energy, and so any extreme magnetizes the opposition. And so every time that the pendulum swings one way, we can predict that it's going to try to swing the opposite direction. So let's see what bearing this has on our lives. Under the deck we have 35. She who is centered in the Tao can go wherever she wishes without danger. She perceives the universal harmony, even amid great pain, and because she's found peace in her heart. Music or the smell of good cooking may make people stop and enjoy, but words that point to the Tao seem monotonous and without flavor. When you look for it, there's nothing to see. When you listen for it, there's nothing to hear. But when you use it, it is inexhaustible. So I think that we're talking about also extremity versus balance. And so when we're at our center at that fulcrum of balance between oppositions, between light and dark, it can sometimes perhaps seem a little dull, or we can get into boredom. And, think about that saying that you may have heard, idle hands make the devil's work, or something like that. It's like sometimes when we become bored, something within us, ego or otherwise, may start to really crave some type of stimulus or drama or some old pattern that seems comfortable. And so we can sometimes overlook the quality of certain things, such as the beauty in being single. Some people can't appreciate it, and they're always one relationship to the next, and they sometimes get caught up with not being able to really honor their inner center and their personal self-expression and sense of subjective identity away from the herd mentality. And so some of that lack of peace and sense of anxiety and pain, sometimes we as a culture sometimes talk about how lonely it is. And true, to a certain extent, after the independence novelty wears off, we always do find ourselves longing for certain belonging and companionship. It's a delicate balance. Yet sometimes when we're surrounded by love, all we can do is focus on the deficiencies in every system, everything that we look at, every partnership, every relationship. This person is doing this and that person's doing that, or when we're with this or that, then we're this way or that way and limited by something or another. This is the perception of limitation, and seeking for dynamism around the center. So I'm not going to go too much further in that message. I think we see. And on the opposite side of the deck, we have 75. When taxes are too high, people go hungry. When the government is too intrusive, people lose their spirit. Act for the people's benefit. Trust them. Leave them alone. I like that one. In the political climate and the global climate right now, I'll share with you, there are many of you that don't see my other social media, and I've been a little bit more forward with my last few posts where I created a thread, and maybe I should have done it on YouTube as well, just to see how you guys would enjoy that or not. And I was just sharing some various links from different YouTube sources talking about the state of the global everything, global humanitarianism is probably not the right sentiment. What am I going for? Anyways, I guess not to make it too much about that in particular, I think that we're talking about our ability to understand the trends of one person versus another, making our choices, determining the person that we want to become, and how the more rules that people get, the more crafty they become. That's one of the precedents of the Tao. And that if the government is so greedy and dependent upon the people to fund things that people don't even get a choice in necessarily, the government has overtaken, and people lose their spirit because it's not their will any longer. They're being exploited and made into a level of indentured servitude, if not worse. And we can look at something like North Korea for that type of evidence there. They're virtually in all ways imprisoned and being completely cut off. They don't even understand in that country what the world is like today. They're living in a manufactured reality like the Truman Show, except real and violent and militant. So here we're talking about being really wise and seeing that more control doesn't actually help us. So in this, I think that we can apply this to our relationships, to our rearing of our children, the way that we handle our leadership skills when we are at the head of an organization or a business, and being willing to put our values into a situation and to put our money where our mouth is, type of a thing. It's like if we believe in a certain value, then not closing our eyes to the ways that we move to the side and around these things, not justifying things when it's us that's potentially a perpetrator. Now, in all non-judgment here for all of us, because there's levels to this, I'm not going to define that further. I think you understand. Let's get into the code cards here, sacred geometry. I'm hearing now, as I sometimes do, Metatron, 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 coming in to help us form our reality. I'm seeing Miracle on the bottom of the deck with Belief, Master Numbers 11 and 33. Do you believe in miracles? Isn't that a song, an old song? No, I'm thinking I'm confusing that with If You Believe in Magic. Now we have integration of miracles here. I like that. So if you believe in miracles, can you see them and make them part of your everyday? And how do you do that? How do you see miracles? And we're talking about governance here, whether we are going to jobs we hate or accidentally perpetuating a distance in our relationships that was modeled for us in previous generations and institutions, in lieu of the connections that we're all here longing for. Longing for change, yet fighting for peace, leaves us continually longing for what we're never accepting. Conception and integration. I think we really need to actualize an ability to see others and accept each other's differences. And it starts, I would say, with the acceptance of all that we are and our acknowledgement of the shadow and light and how they're both equal players. I didn't look at what those ones were. Let's take a peek. Now we have sacral chakra with integration. So yeah, self-worth, belonging. All right. We have the divine feminine flipping out. Flipping out, is that a fact? Is the divine feminine within us needing to set a boundary and being encroached upon, needing to voice, perhaps assert her value? And this can be in masculines as well for those that need the reminder. Passion. Yeah, the passionate uprising of the divine feminine is like that Shakti rising, the depths of us and our innate, born in capacity and ability to matter. Um, okay, and I don't mean this politically, because things like the BLM movement, the Me Too movement are definitely parts of this, but at some point in time, we do have to acknowledge that absolutely, yes, everybody matters. And I think that the people that are in the positions of the perpetrators are the ones with the most fragile sense of awareness around this. And so, yeah, I want to disconnect from that tone. It's there's somebody here treading on another individual, whether it's perceived or real. I would suggest that it can happen in subtle ways. And going into this reading, I'm reminded, I was thinking of how certain situations were coming to a head earlier this year, perhaps in advance of the springtime eclipse cycles. And now we're coming back, and we've just had our two eclipses, the lunar and then the solar in Libra, the feminine aspect of the relationship. Yeah, something coming forward about that there was a way that perhaps many of us were able to continue that. There was a workaround that went down, and the relationship was perhaps in different ways. Maybe one big one was shut down or taken a leave of absence, but I sense for a lot of individuals that either some of these individuals that represent not having stable boundaries in place in a sense of mutual respect and honor here, that there's been some type of a pushback, or for some, maybe you got free of one influence, such as a job or a relationship, but then you start to witness how this pattern is evidenced in other places, like in your social groups or something like that, where you're feeling the same type of a way. And so it's not all the others that we're being told to look at. It's something about, if we are actually wise and sovereign, um, our foreknowledge of the way that we're going to feel helps us to make a better plan. It's not about making more rules and regulations and becoming intrusive. It seems like the message is waning there. I've got sacral chakra here. The ability to flow with our desires and our passion, right? Stimulating the creative power to manifest success and abundance in our lives, followed by prosperity. Beautiful. Right, so it's our ability to attract as well as to get in that inspired flow state. And when we're not in situations that are honoring that for whatever reason, whether it's like codependency or some type of hierarchical exchange going on here where there's control or power, or inequality on the financial level, it seems that there's something here helping us to understand our connection to the pattern, to overcome and to have a better outcome now. I think that we're getting new opportunities that are stepping forward with this prosperity card. We've got new ideas about how to make money and what types of barriers are ours to overcome and how to unlock greater blessings in our life here. And it's based around our thoughts and feelings of acceptance and reciprocal respect. And I think it's tied into certain people out here, tied into the relationships and the boundaries that we have in place, the good fences and good neighbors policy, as well as our ability to speak up when we are feeling that something is bothering us. I think that society tries to gaslight us into thinking that we can just not speak up about certain things and that we can just be polite instead. But all that does is simmer in a cesspool of resentments, bitterness, blame gaming, and rage and strategy and tactics. And so to unlock the blessings here, we're really getting in sacred contact with the flow of our sacred passion. Soul time. Manifestation here with prosperity and soul time. Clearing blocks, clearing poverty mindsets or any type of attachment to those narratives can take us back to earlier times and earlier messages. And then at the end, we do have miracle coming out. Thank you, thank you. So there's a miracle transformation. Now, we're not talking necessarily the lotto. Some of you, more power to you if that's your thing. But the miracle here is our ability to be renewed and to understand what's been standing in the way of all of our blessings and all of our belief that not only are we enough, but that we deserve more, that more is coming. It's the resistance to apathy from hope and from faith that, yeah, there's a song that's coming to mind where it says something like my harvest, the harvest of my soul is knowing that these hills and green flowing grasses will be here long after I'm gone. Some of us have other ideas about that, whether that's true or not, based on treatment of the environment. But yeah, worthy is underneath the deck here. Yeah, we're already talking about that. So what came out first is voice. There's a boundary being set, something that needs to be communicated. I think also there are some of us that have to speak up about a situation that's not in our best interest or is just distracting us, or it's kind of almost it's not stealing, we are giving over our power and energy to a situation or certain relationships and circumstances that are not only costing us time, energy, and money, but they're blocking our blessings and miracles, blocking the ability for us to really put our passions forward and to light the flames. There's some kind of structural interference here from, I'll just call it generically, the false matrix of the material world, and there's a need to get centered back into the Tao. Yeah, some type of depletion here, and it's because there's some type of limitation that needs to be shed. Yeah, abundance consciousness is what we're developing here. There's worthy on the back. Let's shuffle it just a little bit more. Talking about your worth, setting limitations here with voice and worth, with prosperity and sacral chakra and divine feminine. You may need to ask for a promotion or a raise, or to challenge some type of discounting that's been done, or somebody treading on you type of feeling. Let's see, what else? What can you tell me about soul time and prosperity? Yes, literally. We have mediumship, storm, and faith coming out of the side with birthing under the deck, but the one that came out was manifest. And that's exactly what I said when I had prosperity and then got soul time. I do believe is that this is the manifestation portal where we're getting relaxing into our center, taking our time to actually place our attention, intention even, very specifically on what we want to build and what we deserve. And if we need to set a firm boundary, we can see that here. So yeah, you're getting the feeling that something needs to be stopped in advance of it happening. Like if you see somebody coming around and coming around and coming around, you can kind of gather a sense of what they're setting you up for and what they're trying to bring in. And let's just face it, many individuals, they come with a hook, and it's usually baited with something that you might like, and that's definitely called temptation. And yeah, maybe somebody's giving you extra resources or money, and you're being told that there's a hook in there in the middle. So you're worth more than something, and you're ready to manifest something else, and something is standing in the way in an effort to block your, I would say, blessings again, but that's not possibly, or probably in most cases, the conscious effort. I think that it's somebody wants you to themselves and wants to keep you limited or in a limited mindset, such for instance, an individual is coming to mind that does subtle diminishing comments or challenging comments and questions things in an effort to create my own inner questioning. And I do believe this individual feels that they are largely successful, but sometimes I've just become able to just ignore, but it's still infiltrating my energy whenever I'm in that context. And for me personally, I feel like it's time to readdress that. So here we have commitment. I believe here with soul time and miracle, the prosperity that we're manifesting here is commitment to self, into our self-worth, into the ability to use our voice, not to just, oh, well, these people, they're just gonna always be that way. Yeah, but we don't always need to be around that. Maybe we've just become accustomed to overlooking things that are unacceptable, and placing ourselves in that circumstance is a choice that we can choose to shift I don't know if somebody here needs to speak with human resources at their job, or with a manager or a higher up, skipping a command here. There's something that's sitting on your heart, and really praying for a miracle to shift this. You deserve a lot of money. Maybe one of your bosses is taking credit for your ideas or something as well. And I've seen this a lot of times too for some of you. There are a lot of management teams and boards of directors that will identify overachievers and high functioning individuals that have self worth issues, and they will gaslight these individuals into doing more and more. And, well, we gave you a raise, be really happy. It's so much. We're really excited. Are you ready for this? Brrr, 5 cents an hour. That's like so much a year. Can you believe it? And I remember sitting in a certain situation like this, probably a decade ago, and I just looked at my boss, and he's like, what? And I'm like, do you know what that is? I mean, you don't need to be disrespectful. The context of my relationship with that boss led me to be very honest and direct in that situation. But had it been another individual in that same organization, I would not have been able to handle it exactly that way. But with foreknowledge and foresight, you'll know how to handle this situation. But there comes a time where you need to pull down the hammer. It's like different individuals will keep you in a middle management. Oh, confidence is under the deck here. They will leave you in the middle position because then they know that you are responsible, and they can pin it on you, the underperformance of those below you that they know are going to continue to underperform. And this can be utilized as an excuse to not promote you further, because after all, these guys are underproducing. Isn't that your fault, not theirs? And so you're a deflector, you're a buffer, you're just stuck in this position so that you can continue to be overly competent, overly dedicated, and loyal to someone who's disloyal to you, while you're being disloyal to yourself in lieu being loyal to them. And so the uppers are looking for people like them for their good old boys and good old girls clubs. And with confidence and the wherewithal, you don't need to play that role. You can advocate for yourself. You can go find a different job. You have the skills, you have the know-how, and sit with it and figure out what it is that is calling your attention to stand up for yourself, and make a plan, lay out some bullets of talking points, and just keep it simple. And I think that you're going to come out with shining colors. We'll leave that one there with confidence. Getting closer to the end, I do want to get one of these Kali Oracle cards real quick. Kali and Kuan Yin. I sort of have about it. I have a soft spot for Kali. That ferocity of the feminine, her passionate side, the protectress side, seems very appealing to the feminine warrior goddess within myself. Ooh, I got a huge drop in pressure and a buzz in my right ear when I said that. I know that struck home for some of you. Where's my warrior priestess goddesses at? Even those that are masculines, All right, let's see. What is the message here? All right, we'll take that one. Number 5, Guna Tantrika. Interesting. So we're talking about chakra health and breaking through, something about letting the chips fall where they may, some type of possibly inflated programming and foundational belief pattern, or foundational patterning of how we speak about our self-worth, how we speak about ourselves, how we ask for what we need and deserve and demand, making our demands. If you're excusing your needs, if you are apologizing for your voice, these are things that Callie is coming in to help you support as you develop in the shadow side of you. That ferocious divine feminine comes in to protect the inner purity, the divinity of the inner child, and the vulnerable feminine within, with that yin empress here. You are here to promote the sacred feminine by being an empowered advocate for what's right, among other things. I'll read you just a bit of this. The Divine Mother manifests the cure for when we feel overwhelmed or confused, or when we feel we're falling apart or locked into stagnation. She's the superior medicine. Yes, we were talking about that apathy and being in some type of discomfort of the comfort zone, or addiction or attachment. Even when we may not be sure what's needed to bring ourselves back into full balance, into the center, she holds the answers. Tune into your heart, and there you will find her sacred prescription. Yes, the magic and the medicine. Trust your inner guiding sense of what to do or not do next. Trust the better order is being established. So, she generates and regulates the inherent qualities within all phenomena, including our body, mind, and soul. So, we're talking about the connection of your psychology, your need for belonging and love, and your health and proper nourishment. These three qualities are known as the three gunas: sattva, rajas, and tamas. As sattva, Kali is the peaceful detachment and contentment in the moment. She accepts. She's the fire of rajas, the energy for taking action and hustling for the sacred manifestation. And when our actions rest upon pure-hearted foundation, our activities can become enlightened, bringing spiritual benefit to all beings, even if we don't understand the far-reaching impact at that time. When we need to slow down and heal, ground ourselves and regroup, Kali is tamas, the heaviness that allows energy to settle. This is the temporary inertia that stills momentum and allows for deep restoration and soul renewal. It creates the freedom to take a rest and then to stay the course for however long is needed to manifest our destiny and not give up, with hope and faith, right? Without becoming desperate, despairing, or exhausted. In such rest, we reset, accessing the courage to drop our attachment to external support systems and even our own plans. We then become increasingly able to allow, rather than trying to direct and control, the manifestation of the divine plan through us. As we call upon her, she strengthens these qualities within. Listen to your heart for her guidance. You need to be peaceful, take action, or let go and regroup. Your inner wisdom is her voice guiding you. Take good care of yourself. It's time here to make a plan. You have the foresight. Getting close, centered in your heart is going to help you to manifest these blessings.